Stock options. Good, bad, or ugly? Which is it? Let's find out. In the world of call options, there are three basic types. Covered selling, which has no risk. Buying, which has some limited risk. And uncovered selling. This is the ugly one. It is the most risky. Let's talk about the good type, the safest kind, a covered call option, and why you would want to use this strategy. Covered calls are a great way to create more income than bonds and growth with less risk than stock. There is no big score when using this strategy, just slow, steady accumulation of income. Let's break it down. Covered. What does that word mean to you? It means you are not naked or uncovered to the elements. You are protected. Call. What does that mean to you? It means to call something away and claim what was purchased. Option. It just means you have choices, and who doesn't like choices? Using these three words, covered, call, and option, we can create an example of how they work together. To use an example most of us understand, we will use real estate instead of stock, for now. Olivia bought a house for $150,000 and wants to sell it for $160,000. Clifton wants to buy Olivia's house because it is close to his new job, but he hasn't sold his house up north yet, so what can he do? I know, Clifton can lease Olivia's house with an option to buy it in 6 months, which is the purchase date. Clifton signs a 6-month lease for $800 a month. Since Olivia can't sell the house for 6 months to anyone else, Clifton also pays Olivia a $4,800 non-refundable deposit. This is her protection. There are 3 possible outcomes. In the first outcome, Clifton does sell his house up north and exercises his right to call or buy the house away from Olivia at the full $160,000. Olivia makes $10,000 for the sale of the house, $4,800 on the rent, and $4,800 on that non-refundable deposit. That comes to $19,600 or 12%. Now that's not bad. In the second possible outcome, Clifton does not sell his house up north, and his option to buy expires worthless. Since by the end of the 6 months Clifton hasn't sold his house and has no money to buy Olivia's house, Olivia keeps her house but still profits. $4,800 on the rent and $4,800 from that non-refundable deposit, for a total of $9,600 or 6% for that 6 months. Nothing to sneeze at. In the third possible outcome, Olivia decided she wanted to keep her house. She can buy back Clifton's contract at any time during the 6 months. She would pay Clifton a prorated amount of deposit. If it was outcome number 1 that played out, and Clifton did call the house away from Olivia, which is his option, she was covered. She had the house to deliver to Clifton. This was an example of a covered call option on a house. Now let's see how this works on a stock. What are the similarities? A house has rent. A stock has a dividend. A house has a deposit. A stock has a premium. A house has a closing date. A stock has an expiration date. If you own a stock such as Apple, a covered call option is the safest type of option. Porter bought Apple stock for $150,000 and is willing to sell it when it gets to $160,000. The computer will match Porter up with someone who wants to buy his stock at some point in the future, say 6 months. The buyer, Maggie, doesn't want to pay $160,000, his asking or strike price, to control the Apple shares right now, but she thinks the stock will go much higher. So what can Maggie do? I'll bet you know. She can lease Porter's Apple stock with an option to buy it in 6 months, the expiration date, for $160,000, the strike price. That's Porter's selling price. Porter signs a 6-month contract to lease his stock to Maggie. It costs Maggie $4,800 for the right to purchase Porter's stock at $160,000 at any time during that 6 months. Why would Porter or Maggie even want to do this? Let's find out. Porter has created more income for himself from the non-refundable deposit of $4,800 that Maggie paid to Porter. Maggie, on the other hand, gets to control the stock for 6 months for only $4,800 instead of buying it for $150,000, the current stock price. There are 3 possible outcomes. In the first outcome, the stock value goes way up and over $160,000. So Maggie exercises her right to call or buy the stock away from Porter at the full strike or sale price of $160,000. Porter profits $10,000 profit on the stock, $4,800 dividend or rent, and $4,800 on the non-refundable premium or deposit. The total of $19,600 equals 12%. Not half bad. Maggie makes the difference between the price she paid for it and what she can sell for it. In the second possible outcome, Maggie's option to buy expires. The stock did not go up past the $160,000. Porter still owns his stock and makes $4,800 dividend or rent, $4,800 premium or deposit, for a total of $9,600, which equals 6% for that 6 months. You can put that in my account every 6 months. In outcomes 1 and 2, Maggie loses all her premium or deposit. Her risk is limited to the amount she paid for the premium. In the third possible outcome, Porter can choose to keep his stock. He could buy back Maggie's contract to buy his Apple stock at any time during the 6 months. He would have to pay Maggie the market price on her premium or deposit, which could be more or less than he received from Maggie. Remember, if Maggie did call the stock away from Porter, which is her option, Porter was covered. He had the Apple stock to deliver to Maggie. In summary, covered call options are a great way to create more income than bonds and growth with less risk than stocks.